English translation 260-second contact Sunday, 1st March, 1998, 01:29 hours.
Have you been waiting long? Greetings.
I am glad to see you. Be greeted as well. No, I have only been here 3 minutes.
You probably want to tell me what Ptah said about my 2 questions.
That is why I am here. The first answer refers to the letter you are supposed to write for the magazine 2000. Ptah is of the opinion, by the way, also myself and all of us working here, that such a letter is very useful and appropriate. And that Michael Hezeman wants to publish such a letter we find extraordinarily good, enjoyable, and pertinent, for which I want to express my thanks and greetings to him, if you want to do this.
Of course.
Good. I also thank you. Ptah and we are of the opinion that for this letter to the editor, you should quote excerpts from our conversations and also explain that you are acting with our consent and on our behalf, and that we approve this letter to the editor.
Of course I will.
Your second question related to the 9 contacts, to which you should not lead any persons, including the place where you were able to make the video recordings, and to which you did lead some group members as a result of a misunderstanding a few years ago, which Ptah then also objected to.
I remember, it was really just a misunderstanding.
I know that. However, with regard to your concern that the situation may have changed in the meantime, and that you may therefore now go with some persons to the place or places which have been restricted by Quetzal and Ptah, I must inform you that this shall continue to be the case. Ptah and Quetzal stated that the times and works of proof are over and that therefore no new facts of this kind should be created. The existing must suffice. In addition, Quetzal and Ptah explained they had profound and special reasons for not introducing people to the 9 places known to you and which are subject to restrictions in order to make further photographs or to make clarifications, etc. This also applies to the place where you made the video films.
Can you at least give me the reason for the rejection?
On the one hand, I was not authorized by Ptah and Quetzal, and on the other hand, I could not give you any information because I was not informed about these concerns.
Well, then not. Well, all the other places where I had contacts with Simya, say, Quetzal, Plaja, or Ptah, etc., are just as well not taboo for interested parties as are the demonstration locations where I was allowed to film or photograph. It really only concerns the 9 special locations?
To my knowledge, it is thus as you say.
Then there is still a funny question. But what about other people who go to these places, on a hike or for work, etc.?
That does not matter, because the restriction only refers to people who know about the contacts and demonstrations in the places in question. Unfortunately, I do not know why this is so, and as I said, I should not talk about it either.
You already said that, yes. All those places where investigations and surveys, etc. were carried out, such as by the people of Japanese television, Wendell Stevens, Tom Welch, Lee Elders, Mr. Yasuda, and various others, do not fall under this restriction, as you call the prohibition?
In this regard, Ptah has told me, also in the name of Quetzal, that all other places except the 9 you know are free of any barriers or restrictions.
Then another question. I have been told that filming and photographing is definitely over, because there is no need for any further evidence, because the existing one is full enough. But is there not still the possibility that I might be allowed to take 2 or 3 more pictures after all?
No, as far as I know, this is not planned, because the requirement for the creation of photographic evidence was already fulfilled at the end of the 70s and beginning of the 80s.
Letter to the editor of Magazine 2000.
Dear Editor, in relation to the Adrain Arkin article, see Magazine 2000, number 11, November 1997, and the letters to the editor referring to it, Magazine 2000, number 2, Feb. 98. As the contact person of the Pleiadians, Pleiaren, have the following comments to make on their behalf and on my behalf. That the photographs claimed by Adrain Archon to be his own are forgeries of my photographs can be proved very easily on the basis of the original photographs. It is also a fact that it is exclusively reserved to me to be allowed to photograph the beam ships of the Pleiadians Nar Pleiaren, just as I am also the only contact person of the Pleiadians Mar Pleiaren on Earth. These facts are also not changed by the often malicious and stupid assertions and insinuations of the disinformed and ignorant, who believe that their power of thought and their intelligence are already too advanced for them to have to inform themselves sufficiently to reach a conclusion that corresponds to the facts. Their careless and self-conceited manner of thinking inevitably leads them to fall into the trap of charlatans and fraudsters, because they do not consider with any thought that they could also be mistaken. The film sequence of the alleged beam ship of the Pleiadians Pleiaren, which Adrain Archon claims to have recorded in Miami, is a clumsy fake with an advertising balloon, as has been proven by Mr. Heseman, and which the Pleiadians Pleiaren also confirm through their careful clarifications. What the Pleiadians Pleiaren think of the machinations of Adrain Archon is recorded in 4 different contact reports, from which, at the request of the Ishwish Ptah of the Pleiadians Pleiaren, I quote the most important excerpts below.
254th contact, Tuesday, 28.11. 1995.
We can also end this matter with brief words, for not only we know, but also you know, that the whole story is a single work of lies by Adrain Winters. The photos allegedly taken with a Polaroid camera are fakes, which were copied from your real photos, at least a large part of them. The Sun Alcyone in our space-time structure does not have any planets, therefore no human beings can live there. Adrain is an infamous liar, swindler, and fraud who now wants to become big in UFO circles in this lying manner and also wants to take revenge on you for spreading the truth about him. And since he is only spreading a lie of his own invention, there are of course also no underground installations in America of any groups of us, through which America, that is to say the American people, are to be raised to a higher level of consciousness, which corresponds to such horrendous nonsense as such can only be invented and conceived by a consciously limited Earth human being, such as this slightly disturbed consciousness, who, according to the statements of the Arahat Athersata plane, is an Earth creature.
255th contact, Thursday, 7.12. 1995.
And since you have now seen the lying work of art, you will also have noticed that Adrain deceives human beings with tricky photos. Also, his statements are entirely lies. If you disregard the facts that he has stolen from your statements, etc., perhaps you have also realized that for the fraudulent photographs, models of our ships have been partly copied and used for photographic purposes, and some alterations have also been made by which it is to be proved that the intended flying objects are supposed to come from a group other than ours, although no other groups than ours have ever been present on Earth. Light models and drawings have also been used for the purposes of deception, as well as films made from a moving vehicle to give the impression that a spaceship in rapid flight has been filmed. Your photos taken of our flying apparatus were falsified and copied, and also used to make models which were hung on thin threads and then photographed.
And more such hoaxes. But what about the question I had addressed to Ptah? Do other persons have a hand in the whole Adrain Randy Winters story of lies?
There are at least various persons who take part in his deceitful game and lend him a hand in order to better shape and spread his work of lies. This is clearly established, and unfortunately, The liar and deceiver finds followers who, in their unobjectivity, consider his work of deception and fraud to be genuine.
256th contact, Monday, the 13th of May, 1996.
Uses the fake material of this drain, as he calls himself, to enrich himself, although he knows very well at heart that it is all a lie and a fraud. Is a profiteering scoundrel, as is also true of a drain, who tries to get in touch with people with whom he can collude and financially exploit his fraud.
261st contact, Tuesday, the 24th of February, 1998.
Furthermore, the whole swindle, lie, and fraud of a drain alias Arkan, whose real name is Manny Eskandon, was exposed in his magazine 2000 issue No. 11th of November 1998. For this swindle and fraud exposure, Michael Hesseman is now being attacked with letters to the editor by a drain Arkan Manny Eskandon believers, as you can read here in magazine issue No. 2 of February 1998.
It is extremely regrettable that the fraudulent and lying machinations and claims of this drain Archon meet with such uncritical and faithless acceptance, with such homage, approval, and recognition, and that the truth is thereby denied and suppressed.
With us on earth, it is said, the faithful want to be deceived.
Nevertheless, it is very regrettable that gullible people allow themselves to be misled by such deceivers, swindlers and liars, and unquestioningly, without contradiction and without criticism, join such persons and still defend them in the manner of insulting those who state the actual truth and accuse them of lying themselves, as is the case here in these unbelievably stupid letters to the editor to the magazine 2000.
That this alleged Pleiadian bringer of salvation is nothing but an infamous and profit-minded fraud and swindler, as well as liar and charlatan and, moreover, a pure earth-born human since time immemorial, who has nothing whatsoever to do with our Pleiadian Pleiaran peoples or their spirit levels. As we have already explained several times, it is also the case that you are the only human being on Earth who is in contact with us and with our spirit planes, which means that not only this Adrain Archon is lying and deceptive about alleged contact with us, but also all others who dare to claim on Earth that they are in contact with us via channeling or telepathy or even physically. Outside of you, no other life form on Earth has any contact with us Pleiadians, Pleiaran, or with beings of our spiritual planes. So much for the statement of the Pleiadians, Pleiaran, which I consider to be absolutely sufficient and completely clear and unambiguous. There is certainly nothing more to be said on this subject. Yours sincerely, Billy Edward A. Meier.
Then simply not. It was just a question. One can always ask questions if they are not afraid of the answer. I have no further questions.
Then I can leave again. So I say goodbye to you, and if you have any urgencies, questions, or the like, or any other things of importance, you can call me anytime. Just please make sure they are not trivial.
Goodbye. I will follow your instructions. Sachlomie.